Hey everyone, how's it going? In this video, we're going to talk about the IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, more specifically maps, and we'll focus on the useful language that you need. Now, I'm going to be using this example task in order to show you examples of how to use this language in context, and the first area of language that you need to master is the one for indicating locations. You will be expected to use the cardinal directions, north, south, west, east, and they are usually marked on the maps, so watch out for that in the exam. But you'll also need to work out the ones in between, northwest, northeast, southwest, or southeast. And when you use them, please mind your prepositions. It's the northwest of the town, the southeast of the river, or simply the north of the town, yeah? But the first gaps are a bit different. The town or the city or the settlement is usually the whole map. So if you're referring to the whole map, you use in. On the other hand, the river is not the entire map, it's just a part of it, so you say to the southeast of the river. You direct the reader's attention to that side of the river. Okay, let's zoom in, let's look at the two areas that I've selected, and let's see what the changes were. So here's something I would write. While the residential area in the northwest of the town remained unchanged, by 2016, the industrial complex had expanded and taken over the former residential area to the southeast of the river, or simply southeast of the river. Okay, watch out for the language for comparison here. You're not just expected to select and report the main features, you also need to make comparisons where necessary and appropriate. So that's why I used while in order to contrast the differences basically between the residential areas in two different parts of the town. Another thing is using the tenses appropriately. Look here. We know that the maps show the situation of the town of Harton at the beginning of the 21st century, which is why I'm adapting my use of tenses. I'm using remained, the past tense, but I'm also creating opportunities for me to use more complex tenses. The adverbial by 2016 creates the context for the past perfect. So take any opportunity to showcase your grammar knowledge and, of course, application of it in context. Now, let's talk about the actual lexis, the actual vocabulary, when you describe changes and developments. So, in other words, when you give life to the maps, you don't just indicate locations randomly. You do it in order to say what happened there, what changes occurred. So when you write about buildings, they could be demolished, knocked down, replaced by or replaced with, developed into, relocated to, converted into, or modernized. So let's zoom in on the maps. I'm going to be focusing on the east of the town, so the area in the east of the town or to the east of the river. I'm going to notice some changes, but also some things that remain the same, and I would write something like this. On one hand, see, I'm starting my comparison, in the east of the town, the art center was converted into a multi-screen cinema. I'm using the passive voice. And the residential area was replaced by a shopping center. Once again, the passive voice. But on the other hand, the school remained unaltered. So I don't know who converted the art center. I don't know who replaced the multi-screen cinema. I do know, however, that this occurred, so I'm using passive. Basically, what you need to do is to alternate the passive and active voice as appropriate as the context requires it. All right, when you write about green spaces, natural areas, it's usually about trees or forests, so they can be cleared, cut down, chopped down, removed, deforested, but maybe also on the more positive scenario, planted. So let's zoom in, let's have a look at the woodland that we have in the maps, and here's something I would write. By 2016, the woodland covering the better part of the town's eastern and northeastern areas had been heavily deforested and reduced to roughly half of its original territory. Why am I using eastern and northeastern? Well, it's because they are adjectives in this context. How do I know? It's areas that gives me the clue, the noun next to which the adjectives sit. So if you're using the cardinal directions next to a noun, add ERN at the end of the word. All right, and when you write about infrastructure, roads, railways, bridges, it's true that on the maps I've chosen to show you, they don't appear, but they could appear in a different map. They can be constructed, built, extended, expanded to, removed, and here's an example. A bridge was constructed in the north of the town, whereas south of the river, the old road was extended into a motorway. Or, of course, you can use the preposition we discussed at the beginning, to the south of the river. Don't forget whereas, which is the comparative linker, and here is what you need to remember. Indicate the location clearly. Use linkers of comparison and your tenses accurately. Alternate the passive and active voice as appropriate, of course, and use language to describe the changes and the developments in buildings, green areas, or infrastructure. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them, and I'll keep in touch. See you soon.